Liam sat alone in the research lab of the small space station that circled a quiet blue planet. The hum of the machines and the soft blinking lights were the only company he had most nights. Others on the crew worked in teams, laughing and sharing stories, but Liam usually kept to himself. He was not unfriendly, but he always felt as if he was invisible. No one seemed to notice when he entered a room, and no one ever asked him to join their conversations. The lab was filled with stacks of notes, samples, and glowing data screens. Liam loved studying new life forms that the station's explorers brought back, but his passion for learning did little to fill the emptiness inside him. He often wondered if he was too quiet, too plain, or simply too ordinary compared to others around him. Late one evening, as he adjusted a microscope and recorded observations, his reflection in the dark window caught his attention. He stared at his own tired eyes and whispered under his breath, "Who would ever want me?" He said it with a small, bitter laugh, as if teasing himself. He thought he was alone, so he spoke without care. But then, something unexpected happened. From the corner of the room, a voice soft, steady, and almost like a breath of wind answered him. "I would." Liam froze. He dropped the pen he was holding, and it clattered on the floor. His heart raced as he turned his head, scanning the room. The lab was empty, or at least it looked empty. The voice had not come from the communicator, nor from the speakers. It sounded as if it had been whispered directly into his ear. He swallowed nervously and shook his head. "I'm hearing things. I've been awake too long," he muttered, trying to convince himself that it was just exhaustion. Still, the air felt different, as if something unseen was moving just beyond the edges of his vision. The lights flickered for a brief second before returning to normal. Liam forced himself to continue his work, but he could not shake the feeling that he was no longer alone. Hours passed, yet the thought of the voice lingered. Who could it be? Was someone playing a trick on him? Or worse, was he finally losing his mind from too many sleepless nights? The next day, he tried to blend into the usual routine with the crew. They laughed about small things, shared meals, and discussed upcoming missions. Liam listened quietly from a distance, smiling politely when someone looked his way. But inside, the question burned, had he really heard that voice, or was it only his imagination? When night returned, Liam once again found himself alone in the lab. The silence pressed against him like a heavy blanket. He looked around nervously, half expecting the whisper to return. He chuckled softly to himself, shaking his head. Maybe I dreamed it? Who would ever answer me like that? This time, the answer came more clearly, firm yet gentle, not a dream. Liam jumped to his feet, his chair scraping against the floor. His heart thudded in his chest as he spun around. The room was empty, no shadows moving, no hidden figure waiting. And yet, the voice carried warmth, not threat. Who are you?" Liam asked aloud, his voice trembling. He felt foolish speaking to the empty air, but at the same time, something deep inside told him this was not a joke. There was no reply, only the faint sense that someone or something was listening. Liam sat back down slowly, trying to calm his breathing. He told himself not to panic. Space stations were full of strange signals, echoes, and energy fields. Maybe it was interference. Maybe his tired mind was creating voices where none existed. But as he returned to his microscope, he felt the unseen presence settle around him like a watchful shadow. It was not heavy or frightening. In fact, it almost felt protective. He whispered again, more to himself than to anyone else, "If you are real, why me?" The lights flickered once more, and the whisper brushed his ears again, soft and patient, "You will see." Liam sat frozen in his chair, staring into the glowing instruments, his thoughts swirling faster than the stars outside the window. For the first time in his life, he felt noticed. And though he did not yet understand what was happening, he knew this was only the beginning of something far larger than himself. The next morning on the space station, Liam moved through the halls in silence. His mind was still trapped in the memory of the strange whisper. He tried to focus on routine tasks, checking equipment, logging data, reviewing samples, but every small sound made him flinch. He kept expecting to hear that voice again. The crew around him seemed cheerful, busy with their own work. They laughed at small jokes, argued over technical reports, and planned their next exploration trip. Liam walked past them quietly, as if he were only a shadow. Nobody noticed how pale his face looked or how distracted his eyes seemed. When he reached the lab, he paused at the door. He stood there for a long moment, debating whether to step inside. The lab felt different now, no longer just a room full of screens and instruments. To him, it had become a place of mystery, a place where unseen words had touched his heart. Finally, he took a deep breath and walked in. The hum of the machines greeted him again. The familiar blinking lights made the room look calm and normal, but Liam's thoughts refused to settle. He sat down at his station and pretended to work, though his hands trembled slightly as he picked up his pen. Not a dream, he remembered the whisper from the night before. He had not imagined it. Someone or something had spoken to him. Hours passed in silence. The station rotated around the quiet blue planet, its windows showing endless stars. Liam kept waiting, unsure if he should call out, unsure if he even wanted to hear that voice again. Finally, just as he was about to leave for dinner, it came back. "You are searching," the whisper said. Liam froze. His heart raced, and his hand tightened around the edge of the table. He turned slowly, scanning the room. Empty, as always. The sound was not coming from any speaker. It was soft, close, almost like a breath against his ear. "Who are you?" he asked, his voice trembling. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, the answer came, calm and steady, "Serenya." The name was like music, flowing through the air. Liam repeated it under his breath, almost afraid the sound would vanish if he spoke it too loudly. Why me?" he asked again, his voice quieter this time. "There are so many others here. Smarter, stronger, better than me. Why are you speaking to me?" The air in the room seemed to shimmer, though nothing visibly changed. The whisper came again, soft but certain, "Because you listen." Liam felt a shiver down his spine. It was true, he had always been the quiet one, the observer, the one who noticed small things others ignored. But why would an unseen presence care about that? "I don't understand," Liam admitted. "You will," the voice said gently. "Not yet." He sat back in his chair, staring at the dark window where stars glittered endlessly. His reflection looked back at him, uncertain and small. Yet behind that reflection, he almost imagined another shape, faint and tall, as if something stood just beyond the glass. He blinked, and it was gone. The door to the lab slid open suddenly, making him jump. A crewmate, Myra, poked her head inside. "Liam, are you coming to dinner?" she asked. "Oh, later," Liam replied quickly, forcing a smile. "I just have to finish a few notes." She shrugged and left, the door sliding shut behind her. Liam exhaled slowly. He realized he had not told anyone about the voice. He was afraid they would laugh at him or, worse, think he was losing his mind. For now, this strange secret belonged only to him. When the room was quiet again, he whispered into the air, "Serenya, what do you want?" For a long moment, no reply came. He thought perhaps the voice had gone forever. But then, softly, he heard, "To know you." The words struck him deeply. No one had ever said that to him before. People noticed his work, sometimes thanked him for small tasks, but no one had truly wanted to know him. For the first time, Liam felt the weight of his loneliness lift just slightly. He leaned back in his chair, staring out into the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond the silence of space, was a being who had chosen him not for his strength, not for his fame, but simply for who he was. He did not yet know what this meant. He did not yet understand what kind of presence Serenya was, or why she had come to him. But one thing was certain, his life on the space station would never be the same again. That night, as the station lights dimmed for rest, Liam lay in his bunk, wide awake. The whispers still echoed in his mind. A name, Serenya. A promise, you will see. And a truth he could no longer ignore, he was not alone anymore. The next few days passed like a dream for Liam. He moved through his daily tasks quietly, but his thoughts were far away. Every time he entered the lab, his heart raced with a mix of fear and curiosity. Would the voice return? Would Serenya speak again? He waited, and she always did. Not constantly, not in long conversations, but in short whispers that felt like threads pulling him into something larger. "You are careful," she said once, when he took his time analyzing a sample. "You wonder," she whispered another evening, when she caught him staring at the stars too long. Liam had grown used to silence in his life, but now the silence was different. It was full, alive, as if someone unseen was sharing it with him. He no longer felt invisible. One night, after most of the crew had gone to sleep, Liam sat in the lab again. The station lights were dim, the machines hummed softly, and the windows opened into the endless sea of stars. His voice was small but steady when he asked, "Serenya, who are you really?" This time, she did not answer with only a whisper. The shadows in the far corner of the lab shifted. Liam's eyes widened. Slowly, carefully, something began to take shape. At first it was only an outline, tall and elegant, like a figure wrapped in mist. Then the mist seemed to clear, and Liam saw her more clearly. She was unlike anything he had ever imagined, taller than a human, her form graceful, her skin carrying a soft glow that shimmered like moonlight. Her eyes were the most striking, large, calm, and shining with a light that was neither frightening nor harsh. Liam's breath caught. He had read about many alien species discovered in the galaxy, but none of them looked like her. She radiated an energy that was both strange and comforting, like standing close to a fire on a cold night. "Do not fear," she said gently. Her voice now filled the room, yet it was still soft, like the hush of waves on a quiet shore. Liam swallowed hard. You're real." "I am real," she replied. "I have been near your kind for longer than you think. I am Serenya, queen of my people. We travel where the stars guide us. But I chose to stay here, near you." Liam's head spun. "Why me?" he asked again, his voice cracking. You're a queen. You could speak to anyone. Why me?" Her eyes softened, and she stepped closer, though her feet made no sound on the floor. "Because you do not see yourself clearly," she whispered. "You think you are small, unnoticed, unimportant. But I see patience in you. I see kindness in your silence. I see strength in the way you endure." Liam blinked rapidly, trying to process her words. No one had ever spoken to him like that before. The crew saw him as quiet and ordinary, but Serenya spoke as if he carried something rare. "I said I want your body," she continued, her voice calm and honest. Liam stiffened at the words, but she lifted her hand slightly, as if to stop his worry. "Not as you fear. I do not mean possession or harm. I mean your body as the home of your heart, your mind, your spirit. In you rests what my people need most: human hope." Liam sat frozen, unsure how to respond. His thoughts tangled, but beneath the confusion, a warmth spread through him. For so long, he had felt invisible, yet here stood a being who claimed to see value in him more than anyone else ever had. He whispered, I'm not special. You are, Serenya said firmly, her glowing eyes meeting his. Not because of greatness, but because of gentleness. Not because of power, but because of quiet courage. My people are strong, but they forget gentleness. They are wise, but they forget kindness. They need what you carry within you. The room felt heavier and lighter all at once. Liam's chest tightened. He wanted to believe her, but doubt still clung to him. And if you're wrong about me, he asked softly. Serenya tilted her head, almost like a smile touched her lips. Then I will still be glad I came. For even in doubt, you listen. The words sank into Liam's heart. He lowered his eyes, his hands trembling slightly on the desk. He had no clever answer, no confident reply. All he could say was the truth, I don't know what to do. You do not need to know yet, Serenya said gently. She took a step closer, her form shimmering faintly like starlight. For now, only trust that you are not alone. When the time comes, you will understand. Her voice lingered in the room, like a song fading slowly into silence. Then, before his eyes, her shape softened back into mist and disappeared. Liam sat alone again, staring at the empty corner where she had stood. The lab felt quiet, but not in the same lonely way as before. He pressed his hand against his chest, where his heart still raced, and whispered into the stillness, Serenya. He did not know what tomorrow would bring, but something inside him had shifted. For the first time in his life, he wondered if perhaps he was worth more than he had ever believed. The next day felt heavier than usual for Liam. He walked through the station halls with his mind far away from routine work. Every sound of laughter from the crew, every shared story he overheard, reminded him of how unnoticed he had always been. Yet now, he carried a secret no one else knew. A queen from beyond the stars had spoken to him. In the lab, he moved slowly, pretending to check the machines, but his thoughts kept circling around the same question, why him? Out of all the people in the galaxy, why would Serenya, a queen, choose to speak to someone like him? That night, when the station grew quiet and the windows showed nothing but endless stars, Liam sat alone again. He leaned forward on his desk, his hands clasped together tightly. Serenya, he whispered into the silence, I need to know. Why me? The room filled with that soft presence he had grown used to. The air seemed warmer, as if the shadows themselves bent closer to listen. Then her voice, smooth and calm, answered, because you ask. Liam frowned slightly. That's not enough. I need to understand. There are people smarter than me, stronger than me, braver than me. Why would you choose someone so ordinary? From the far corner of the lab, her form began to appear again. The mist gathered, shaping itself into the tall, graceful figure with glowing eyes. Her light filled the room, though not harshly. It was a calm glow, like moonlight spread across a still ocean. She stepped closer, her movements silent and fluid. You believe ordinary is weakness, Serenya said softly. But ordinary can hold what greatness forgets. Liam blinked, unsure. What do you mean? Her gaze held his with quiet strength. The bold speak loudly, but they do not listen. The strong take much, but they forget gentleness. The clever build, but they forget care. You are patient. You notice small things. You see what others overlook. That is why I chose you. Her words struck him deeply, yet he shook his head. Patience. Kindness. Those aren't great skills. They don't change anything. They don't save anyone. They do, Serenya said firmly. My people are proud. They are powerful. But they are losing the soft balance of heart. Without gentleness, strength becomes cold. Without kindness, wisdom becomes empty. We need what you carry, Liam. We need the quiet courage of a human heart. Liam's throat tightened. No one had ever told him his quiet nature mattered. For years, he had believed it was a flaw, a reason people overlooked him. Yet Serenya spoke of it as though it were a treasure. He whispered, almost to himself, "But I've done nothing important. I've never led. I've never been the best. How can someone like me carry what your people need?" Serenya tilted her head slightly, her eyes glowing with patience. "You think greatness is in titles, or in being noticed. But greatness is not always loud. Sometimes it is in small acts, unseen by most. The courage to stand alone. The choice to be kind when no one thanks you. The strength to keep going when no one notices. These are not small things. They are the seeds of all that grows." Liam stared at her, his hands trembling slightly. For a long time, he could not speak. The only sound was the steady hum of the station and the soft, steady tone of her voice lingering in the air. Finally, he asked quietly, "And if I don't believe in myself?" "Then I will believe for you," Serenya whispered. Her words held no judgment, only calm certainty. "Until you see what I see." A silence stretched between them, but it was not empty. Liam felt something stirring in his chest, something he had buried for years. Hope. It was small, fragile, but real. He lowered his eyes, speaking almost in a whisper. "I'm scared." "Good," Serenya replied. "Fear is not weakness. Fear means you care. Fear means you know the choice matters. Only the careless feel nothing." Her words wrapped around him like a quiet embrace. Liam lifted his head slowly, meeting her glowing eyes again. For the first time, he felt a little lighter, as though the weight of being invisible was shifting. He leaned back in his chair, letting out a long breath. "I still don't understand everything. But I'll try to believe." Serenya's form shimmered faintly, as if pleased. "That is all I ask. One step at a time. The path will show itself." And just as gently as she had appeared, her form began to fade again, melting back into the shadows. But her presence lingered, warm and steady, as if she was still watching, still near. Liam sat alone once more, yet he did not feel as alone as before. He touched the desk lightly with his fingers, his heart still beating fast. He whispered into the quiet, maybe I'm not so ordinary after all." The stars outside the window shone brighter somehow, as if they were listening too. The following days moved differently for Liam. He still worked quietly in the lab, still drifted past the crew without much notice, but something had changed inside him. He no longer felt completely invisible. Every time he thought of Serenya's words, "Then I will believe for you," a spark warmed his chest. Still, questions filled his mind. What did she truly want from him? What did it mean to carry the quiet courage of a human heart? He could not imagine how his small life could matter to someone like her, a queen of another world. That night, when the station was quiet again, Liam sat at his desk in the lab. He rested his chin on his hands and whispered, "Serenya, are you here?" The shadows shifted, and her form appeared once more, tall and calm, glowing softly like starlight. Her presence filled the room, yet it never felt heavy. "I am here," she said gently. Liam hesitated, then spoke honestly. "I don't know what to do next. You tell me I'm important, but I don't see how. I want to believe you, but I don't understand what this means." Serenya's eyes glowed steadily. "Understanding comes with walking forward. Not all truths can be seen from where you sit." Liam frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" She stepped closer, her voice calm and inviting. "Come with me. Leave this station, even for a short time. Travel with me, and I will show you what words alone cannot. Beyond these walls, you will see why I chose you." The suggestion struck Liam like a sudden wind. Leave the station? Travel with her? The idea seemed impossible. He had always lived quietly, following routine, unnoticed by others. To step away from all of that, even for a moment, felt terrifying. He shook his head quickly. I can't just leave. The crew will notice. They'll ask questions. And I'm not brave like that. Serenya tilted her head gently, her voice patient. They do not notice you now. Do you believe they would notice your absence at once? The words stung, because they were true. He had walked among the crew like a shadow for years. If he were gone for a few hours, perhaps no one would think twice. Liam sat in silence, torn between fear and curiosity. Part of him wanted to refuse, to stay in the safety of his small, unnoticed corner. But another part, a new and growing part, longed to see what waited beyond. Finally, he whispered, "What if I go, and I disappoint you?" Serenya's glowing eyes softened. "Then I will still be glad you came. Because courage is not in never failing. It is in stepping forward even when you fear you will fail." Liam's chest tightened. Her words reached the deepest part of him, the part that had always hidden behind silence. Slowly, with trembling hands, he nodded. "Then I'll come." A faint shimmer passed over Serenya's form, almost like a smile. "Good." The room seemed to shift around them. The lights dimmed, the shadows deepened, and Liam felt a pull as if the air itself was guiding him. He stood, unsteady, and followed Serenya's glowing shape as it moved toward the far corner of the lab. There, the shadows swirled and opened like a curtain. For a moment, Liam saw nothing but darkness beyond. His heart pounded, fear and wonder mixing inside him. "Step through," Serenya whispered. Liam hesitated, then closed his eyes and took a deep breath. His foot crossed the threshold, and the station vanished. He gasped. Around him stretched a vast sky painted with colors he had never seen before, deep teal, silver, and soft gold flowing like rivers across the air. The ground beneath his feet was smooth and glowing faintly, as if lit from within. Strange plants rose high, their shapes delicate yet strong, swaying without wind. In the distance, towers shimmered like crystal mountains, reflecting the light of two suns. Liam's mouth fell open. He had read about alien worlds in reports, but standing here, breathing the air, seeing it with his own eyes, was beyond anything he had imagined. "This," he whispered, unable to finish his sentence. "This is one of my worlds," Serenya said beside him, her voice calm but filled with quiet pride. "And here, you will begin to see." Liam turned to look at her. She stood taller in this place, her form clearer and brighter, as if this world belonged to her completely. He felt small, yet strangely not unworthy. His fear began to ease, replaced by wonder. He realized that by stepping through, he had already done something he never believed he could. He had chosen to leave the safety of silence. And as he looked out at the strange, beautiful land before him, Liam felt something new stirring inside. Maybe Serenya was right. Maybe his quiet heart had more to offer than he ever thought. Liam's first steps on Serenya's world were slow and careful. Every surface seemed alive with soft light, every breeze carried a gentle hum, and every plant and structure shimmered as if it held its own quiet energy. He had never imagined anything like this existed outside the research station. Serenya moved beside him, her presence calm and guiding. "Do not fear," she said softly. "They are curious, but not cruel. My people test all who come to us, even those I bring." Liam nodded, though his stomach twisted with nerves. He had spent most of his life unnoticed. Now, he faced beings from another world, creatures taller than humans, with shapes that shifted slightly as they walked, their eyes glowing softly with intelligence. He wondered if they would accept him at all. The first of them approached. It was a tall figure, elegant and strong, with smooth, metallic-like skin that reflected the light around them. Its voice echoed gently, like the sound of wind over water. "Who is this human you bring, Serenya?" it asked. "This is Liam," Serenya replied, her tone steady. "He has come because he carries qualities my people need, qualities of heart and mind." The being tilted its head, studying Liam carefully. "We do not know him. How can we trust he is worthy of our guidance?" Liam swallowed hard. He had no idea how to answer. On Earth, he had been invisible. Here, he felt even smaller. Yet something inside him nudged forward, reminding him of the courage it had taken just to step onto this world. He straightened, drawing a quiet breath. "I am Liam," he said softly but firmly. "I do not have power like you. I do not command armies or build great machines. But I notice. I listen. I care. And I try to do what is right, even when no one watches." There was a long pause. The alien being studied him carefully, its glowing eyes narrowing slightly, then widening again. Finally, it nodded slowly. "Perhaps you carry more than we expected. Perhaps your spirit is as Serenya says." More beings gathered, their forms diverse, some delicate and graceful, others tall and solid. Each one looked at Liam with curiosity, their expressions unreadable. Some whispered to one another, their voices like gentle chimes. Liam felt the weight of their attention, but he kept his head steady. Serenya stepped closer, touching his shoulder lightly. "Do not shrink. This is your moment. Show them who you are." Liam nodded, finding a quiet strength inside him. "I have lived quietly, unnoticed," he said, addressing the group. "I have learned to observe, to care for small things, and to keep moving forward even when it feels like no one notices. That is who I am. I cannot be more than what I am, but I can offer what I have." The beings remained silent for a long moment, as if weighing his words. Then, one stepped forward, a slightly taller being with eyes that glowed bright gold. "You speak honestly. That is rare. Many boast of power, few speak of what they quietly carry inside." Liam felt his chest tighten with relief. He had expected anger or dismissal, but instead, he saw respect growing in their gazes. "You are not like us," the golden-eyed being said. "But perhaps that is why you are valuable. We see now what Serenya has spoken, the courage in gentleness, the strength in patience, the wisdom in listening." Liam blinked, almost unable to believe it. He had never been praised so sincerely, especially not for qualities he had thought were ordinary. A small smile spread across his face. Serenya's voice floated beside him. "You see? You are not here to impress with power, but to share what humans carry naturally. Your value is not in what you conquer, but in what you give without expecting reward." The beings around him seemed to hum softly, a sound that made the air feel alive. Liam realized he had earned their attention, not through strength or cleverness, but through honesty and heart. For the first time, he felt a real connection beyond the walls of his small station, beyond his quiet life on Earth. He understood that humans had a unique gift, the courage of gentleness, the strength of empathy. And in that moment, he felt proud of who he was. Serenya stepped closer, her form glowing faintly. "You have taken the first step. My people see you now, as I do. This is only the beginning." Liam nodded, feeling warmth spread through him. The weight of invisibility, of doubt and loneliness, had lifted. He was no longer a shadow. He was seen. And as he stood among the glowing forms of Serenya's people, Liam realized that humans, even ordinary humans, could shine in ways no one could imagine. Liam stood among Serenya's people, the gentle glow of their forms surrounding him. He had faced his fears, stepped beyond the safety of the station, and earned the respect of beings far older and wiser than himself. Yet a quiet question lingered in his mind: why me? Serenya appeared at his side, her presence calm and steady. "You wonder still," she said softly, her voice like a gentle tide. "I do," Liam admitted. Even now, I don't know why you chose me. Why you believed in me. She tilted her head slightly, her glowing eyes warm. Because you carry something rare. Humans are small in size, fleeting in time, but their hearts are limitless. You carry hope, kindness, and courage in ways even my people sometimes forget. That is why I saw you. Liam looked down at his hands. All his life, he had felt ordinary, unnoticed, and small. And now, standing in a world filled with dazzling beings, he realized that what made him ordinary on earth made him extraordinary here. Serenya continued, I do not want your body as some prize or object. I want your presence, your spirit. What you carry inside is what my people need most. He took a deep breath, letting her words sink in. For the first time, Liam understood. She had not chosen him for power, strength, or skill. She had chosen him for himself, his heart, his patience, his ability to care. Around them, the alien beings moved closer, their glowing eyes soft and approving. They no longer watched him with doubt, but with quiet curiosity and respect. Liam felt a warmth spreading through him, a feeling he had never known, belonging. Serenya gestured toward the glowing horizon of her world. There is much to see, much to learn. You will discover that the universe is wide, and yet every part of it can find harmony. Your kind holds balance, even when it does not know it. Liam followed her gaze, taking in the flowing rivers of soft light, the towering plants, and the shimmering towers in the distance. For the first time, he felt the vastness of space not as something frightening, but as something full of possibility. I think I understand, Liam said softly. It's not about being the strongest or the smartest. It's about what you give, and how you see the world. Serenya's glow seemed to brighten slightly. Yes. You have learned the lesson without needing it spelled out. That is human strength, quiet, patient, enduring. He smiled, a small but genuine expression. For years, he had believed he was invisible, unnoticed, and unimportant. But now, he saw the truth, he was wanted, not for conquest or fame, but for the very qualities that made him human. The alien beings around him moved with a gentle rhythm, almost like a song of welcome. Liam realized they were not only accepting him, they were learning from him too. They admired the human spirit, the way it could hold hope in the darkest places, and courage without seeking reward. Serenya placed her hand lightly on his shoulder. Your journey does not end here. You will carry this understanding back to your world. Humans are capable of more than they imagine, and you, Liam, are an example of that truth. Liam felt a quiet pride bloom in his chest. For the first time, he felt his own value clearly. He had been chosen, not because he was perfect, but because he was human. His ordinary life held extraordinary power to inspire, to care, and to endure. The stars above Serenya's world twinkled like 1,000 tiny promises. Liam looked up at them and realized that his life, small though it had seemed, was part of something vast and meaningful. He could no longer doubt himself. Serenya's voice floated beside him again, soft and sure. You are wanted, Liam. You are seen. You are enough. He nodded, feeling a peace he had never known. His loneliness, his doubts, his years of invisibility, all of it had led him here. And now he knew, humans, even those who feel small or unnoticed, carry light that can shine across the stars. Liam stepped forward, his gaze on the glowing horizon, and felt the first true sense of purpose fill him. The Queen's words, the whispers in the quiet, had become truth. He was no longer a shadow in the corner of a lab. He was Liam, a human with a heart that mattered. And with Serenya guiding him, he finally understood what it meant to be wanted, to be seen, and to belong not just to one place, but to the universe itself. The soft light of the alien world bathed him, the beings around him hummed quietly, and for the first time, Liam smiled without doubt. He was part of something greater than he had ever imagined. The stars beyond stretched endlessly, but Liam no longer felt small. He had found his place among them.